Hello and welcome, dear viewer, to this powerful documentary on the longest battle of the First World War. Imagine a single battlefield where over 700,000 men became casualties in just 10 months. Verdun was not just a battle. It was hell on earth, the longest slaughter in modern history. How could one fortified town claim more lives than entire wars? What madness drove two great nations to bleed each other dry here? And why did this single clash become the ultimate symbol of World War I's futility? Stay with us. Hit that subscribe button right now, like this video, and follow the full story to discover exactly what happened. But to truly understand the nightmare that unfolded at Verdun, we must go back to the quiet days before the storm. Verdun was no ordinary target. It was France's proudest fortress, a symbol of national defense since ancient times. On the other side, the Germans sought a decisive blow to end the stalemate of trench warfare. For the French soldiers holding the line, life was one of endless waiting and small comforts. Across the lines, German troops prepared for what they hoped would be a crushing offensive. Falkenhayn's secret plan was simple yet brutal: to attack Verdun and bleed the French army white without seeking a quick victory. The French believed their ring of forts around Verdun made it impregnable. Leading the German Fifth Army was the Kaiser's own son, eager for glory on the Western Front. For these ordinary men, the war still felt distant from the horrors to come. Massive preparations were underway in secret, with over 1,000 guns assembled. The stage was set, but the French remained unaware of the scale of the coming assault. At 4 a.m., the German guns opened fire in the greatest bombardment the world had yet seen. The earth shook as 1 million shells rained down on a 25-mile front. For 10 long hours, the Trommelfeuer, a drum-fire barrage, obliterated everything in its path. French defenders could only wait and pray as their world collapsed around them. By midday, the Germans paused briefly to lure survivors into the open. At 4:45 p.m., the first German infantry assaults began with elite stormtroopers. The Germans used new tactics, flamethrowers and grenades, to clear the shattered defenses. By nightfall on the first day, the Germans had seized key positions on the right bank. News of the breakthrough reached French high command with alarming speed. The Crown Prince pushed for rapid exploitation of the gains. The following day, the Germans renewed their assault with even greater force. Aumont was completely destroyed, its defenders overwhelmed. Colonel Driant's brave chasseurs held the Bois de Cour as long as they could. In just 3 days, the Germans overran the first line of French defenses, capturing villages and woods while both sides rushed reinforcements to the slaughter. With the first defenses crumbling, French high command made a desperate decision. On February 25th, Pétain was given overall command of the defense of Verdun. That same day, a handful of Germans captured the supposedly impregnable Fort Douaumont almost without a fight. The French were now fighting not just for ground, but for survival. Falkenhayn's plan to bleed France was working, but the cost was mounting for both sides. Pétain organized the legendary Sacred Way, a lifeline that brought 90,000 men and thousands of tons of supplies daily into the cauldron. The casualties were already staggering, yet the battle showed no signs of slowing. March brought renewed German attacks aimed at capturing the heights west of the Meuse, the hills known as Mort-Homme and Cote. 304 became symbols of unimaginable suffering. Constant rain transformed the battlefield into a sea of sticky, sucking mud that claimed as many lives as bullets. The Germans continued their grinding advance, but every meter gained came at terrible cost. Major Raynal and his men at Fort Vaux prepared for a heroic last stand. Pétain ordered aggressive counterattacks to keep the Germans off balance. Even the crown prince began to question whether the battle was worth the mounting losses. For the ordinary soldiers, Verdun had become an endless nightmare of rotation between hell and brief, uneasy rest. Poison gas added a new layer of horror to the already apocalyptic landscape. By May, the battle had settled into a brutal war of attrition exactly as Falkenhayn had planned. The fight for Fort Vaux became one of the most heroic episodes of the entire battle. Thirst and exhaustion slowly broke the defenders as water ran out. After 10 days of heroic resistance, Fort Vaux finally fell to the Germans. Despite the losses, Petain's artillery continued to exact a heavy toll on the attackers. The Germans pushed closer to the town of Verdun itself, but their momentum was fading. The opening of the Battle of the Somme in July finally forced the Germans to divert resources away from Verdun. The fighting continued with savage intensity, even as both armies grew exhausted. In October, the French launched a brilliant counteroffensive that recaptured Fort Douaumont. The tide had finally begun to turn. By December, the Germans had abandoned most of their hard-won gains. When the battle finally ended, on December 18, 1916, the front lines were almost exactly where they had been 10 months earlier. The human cost was staggering. Over 700,000 French and German casualties, with more than 300,000 dead. Verdun became the ultimate symbol of the futility and horror of industrialized warfare. What lessons from this 10-month slaughter should we carry into our own time? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story powerful, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and join us for more gripping tales from history. Thank you for watching, and remember, never forget.